Hello friends, hope you are fine. This is a new session. Welcome you all for the new session. Today is for the class in biology. As you know that, dear friends, that in the previous session when you were there in class 11, that we were continuing right from human reproduction, human physiology. In human physiology, if you see that we have seen the different kind of metabolic processes that is occurring in human. As it was earlier, we also saw in plants. So today's session is very interesting for all of you. As you all know that, you see a number of living organisms around us. How does the living organisms just exist in this universe or on this planet? How are they able to multiply? You can say they maintain their identity. What is the important processes? Can you tell me what is that? That is called as, well, that's called reproduction. Very good. So today's session, we are going to talk about reproduction in organisms. So what is exactly reproduction? Reproduction is nothing but it's a process by which the organisms multiply or increase their population for maintaining their identity. And this continues from one generation to another. This is what is called reproduction. This is one of the important processes. So based on the reproduction, as you know friends, that is classified into two types. One is asexual reproduction, another is called sexual reproduction. Asexual, when you say the asexual, means that is without the union of gametes. So there is no union of gametes, so a single parent is involved. So this is called asexual reproduction. So which are the living organisms, if you see around in the living world, which are the organisms which actually prefer this asexual reproduction? That we are going to see for today's session. So asexual reproduction, as you know that, this mostly existed in the lower form of living organisms, both in plants as well as in animals. For example, let us see in the case of the amoeba. In the case of amoeba, you see that they just a single organism is there here. It's a unicellular, as you all recall it, and they are going for a kind of reproduction where they produce two daughter cells. So this kind of reproduction is called binary fission. Just like that, if you see, you can also recall from your previous classes, that is in case of plasmodium, they prefer another type of reproduction called as multiple fission. Now friends, if you are seeing here, let me just explain here. If you take a bacteria, suppose let us take a bacteria. Right. Bacteria, you know that very simple living organisms, and they have a circular DNA, very simple living organisms, as you know that. How does it reproduces? So mostly it reproduces by a fission-like reaction it undergoes. And then later on we find two cells are produced, which is exactly similar to the parent cell. So these are the offsprings, as you see, and this is the parent cell. So you see a similar type of living organisms are existing here. And just like that, let us also see in the case of another type of living organism. If we take for example the Clamdomonas. The Clamdomonas, as you know that, it is again a unicellular. It is existing like this. If you see here the 10 web, and the rupture, the walls rupture, and favorable conditions rupture, and the release a number of a number of offsprings that reproduces, a number of living organisms. So this is also a kind of reproduction by which Clamdomonas will prefer. These are called as zoospores. Let us go for the animal form, a simple living organisms. For example, you take the hydra. This is the hydra, which is attaches, and you have the tentacles. Have you seen that? Now how does this reproduce? You see that it goes. So this is the kind of reproduction what we try to see in the case of living organisms. Now, how in the higher living forms, for example the plants. they also reproduce by a kind of reproduction which is called as vegetative propagation. So let us see here. What is all this? Do you remember this? What is this?
Onion.
It's called onion. Very good. So this is how this onion is there. So the onion, you see the roots are present here, and this is what is the shoot axis. So this is a kind of plant. This is the plant in which it produces by means of a mechanism called as vegetative propagation. This name of this is called bulb, isn't it? Next, have you heard of this? Very common. All of you are tasting this.
Potato.
Very good. It's called potato. Now, very closely, please examine here. There is some scars over here. This is called ice. What is this called as? Ice, or leafy scars, or ice, that's called bud. So from this, what we can do, it is a stump. It's not a root, it is a stump. Because root, you know, they don't have the buds or internodes. So it is a bud here, which is produced here, and this name of this is called ice. And this is also a vegetative propagal. The name of this is called stump tuber. Next, let us come to the another one. What is this?
Ginger.
Very good. It's a very normal spices, condiment that you use in day-to-day life. They have a very good medicinal value also. And this also, you see, these all are found underground. These are called underground plants. Underground plants. Part of the plant is called a stump. And again, you can find very closely here, that's called as scales. Very closely, if you examine here, there's a lot of scales present. The leafy scales are present here. This is where they are trying to reproduce. You can see that small buds are, protuberance are present here. This is how they extend here. So this is also a kind of vegetative propagation by which the plants are preferring. So today, friends, we have seen two types of mode of reproduction. That's called asexual. One in lower forms, if you see, that's how they reproduces. The Clamdomonas hydra, they produces by means of a simple mechanisms. Is it clear? And let us see many other examples also there. If you are coming across, let us see some other examples here. If you come here over here, this is again, you can see this is the Pensium. It's a fungus. And you have to remember that person, the great scientist Alexander Fleming. I remember that. See, the propagule is called as conidia. And again, this is a sponge. They studied in the lower forms of animal kingdom. The name of vegetative propagule or asexual propagule structures are called as gemmules. So one thing you can see that here in the case here, the offsprings or the birds are produced within the parent cell and some are exposed. So this is called exogenously and this is called endogenously. So friends, so today we have studied about the asexual reproduction in this particular part. One we have seen the asexual part in lower forms, another in the higher forms. Okay friends, now let us recall what all we have come across, all different kind of phenomena that we can see. So asexual reproduction, we can also call it as a very simple mode of reproduction by which the plants can produce or organisms can produce n number of offsprings in more or less. But there is a disadvantage, my dear. As you know that there is no genetic variation because the two parents are not involved here. There is no exchange of genes. So they cannot adapt in extreme conditions, and this is a big block we can say for the evolution also we can say. That's a particular advantage. Disadvantages are there, but advantage is that they can multiply in a number of time, in a number of species, a less number of time they can multiply. So this is about this particular thing. Now let's have for a few questions for you. Just please note it down. What is the vegetative propagule in ginger? The second question is, what is the mode of reproduction by which the malarial parasite produces? Next thing is, what happens when amoeba reproduces by asexual mode of reproduction? So these are the questions. Please give me the answers for the next class. So next class we will see the second part, that is the sexual mode of reproduction. Bye friends.